All right, the Reds. It is Talking Reds with me, Gareth Roberts. You've got Rob Gutmann with me this morning, and we are talking about the mighty Reds and what might happen in the next few days. Two games, of course, coming up. We have got Burnley, and then we have got the return with the Manx in the FA Cup. Is there more significance to that now? Is there more beef about that now? Getting into all that kind of thing with Mr. Rob Gutmann. Rob, I seen you talking after the match, saying, you know, it's not great about Man United, saying it's not great, but it's not the end of the world. Like, there's lots of big, massive talk out there already about we need to buy him, we need to sell him, we need to move on, we need to, you know, think of a new front three. You know, there's all kinds of really big talk out there, but you seem quite calm about this.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not happy. Don't get me wrong. I'm far from happy, but you know, we want the tides to turn. We want Liverpool to start winning matches again, but you can't have that to order. And Man United, be at home or away, especially United in form with the 1 or 8 of their last 10, are no mugs. You don't just get to prescribe you win that so that it's all better. You know, you can't say that if we'd played City, or we'd maybe even played a Chelsea away, or even at home. You can't go, that's one we've got to win, or feel disappointed about it. We were disappointed because we hadn't won any of our previous 3. The game to say, no, we've got to win now. It's a must win. That wasn't a must win. It was a must really, really wanted to win. But they are different things. So I think, but because we had another game without winning and scoring, I think people were inclined to lump it in with the previous 3 and go, well, look, we're in a deeper crisis, can't you tell? Well, not really, because not based on the evidence of that game, because we were the better side. Yes, we didn't finish with a strong last 20 minutes, but we made all the chances in the game. We dominated the football match from start to front. They were very timid and cautious of us. I mean, you and I have talked before about some bullshit that came out afterwards from the United camp, where they sort of tried to create a narrative whereby they were unlucky, that they were sitting in their dressing room disappointed not to win. I mean, it's just nonsense. I think that was, I mean, credit to him for looking for a psychological angle, because they were very much put in their place. Someone who never watched English football before, arriving to watch that game, is going to go, well, Liverpool are clearly the better team out of these two teams, aren't they? Oh, that's a wayside will be pleased with that point. That's a different thing from saying they were unlucky. But you're right, it does. That little bit of needle by Ollie, it does sort of ratchet up that tension a little bit more ahead of what would otherwise perhaps have been a meaningless FA Cup game. But I think it's got more meaning now.
Yeah, it was interesting, you know, Jordan Henderson on Match of the Day too, where it was put to him that, you know, United felt they were unlucky not to win, and he was like, who said that? And then he was like, you know, he was told it was Solskjaer and also a couple of the players, and he was just sort of nodding along going, interesting, because, you know, Liverpool have more of the ball, obviously, they pass the ball better, more accurately. It is just that final touch, it is just putting it in the back of the net, and I think that's the problem, isn't it, Rob, that there does seem to be a bit of a confidence crisis across the front 3 all at once. You know, and they've been fantastic for us over a period of 3-4 years now. And we've got to sort of acknowledge that. But equally, it is a little bit of a worry that they're all seemingly in the same place at the same time. And we still don't have Jota to shake it up. You know, you mentioned to me just before we started recording that James Pearce mentioned on The Athletic he's due back next month, which just sort of sound quite tentative. We're not really sure. I mean, that's what we need, isn't it? That's what we're missing. Because, you know, I watched the thing, I don't know if you've seen it, you know, Carragher talking about the front 3 and how long it's been together and what they've done. And, you know, we sort of concluding that, you know, Liverpool might have to start breaking that up. But they've kind of already done that, haven't they, by buying Jota? We would have seen Jota if Jota hadn't been injured.
Yeah, I think obituaries are being written a bit quickly for my liking. It's, what day do we beat Palace on? I think it's about I'm going to say the 18th of December. So it's a month ago. We beat Palace. Bobby Firmino on fire, 2 beautiful, confident finishes. Mo Salah, the same. Sadio in on the action, disappointed to come off because he knew there were goals in that game for him. They were, I mean, you know, if ever you wanted to show somebody the quintessential video of those 3 at their very best, it was in a game a month ago, right? It's that recent. I see, you're absolutely right. Jota was brought in to shake it up, to add a bit of spice, a bit of variety. there are question marks over the consistency level that Bobby can bring these days. And he's clearly not scoring often enough. But then the last month, none of them were scoring often enough. But I think the malaise is team wide, and I think the lack of confidence in front of goal we're seeing from the front three just reflects the fact that the team is playing with a degree of nervousness because the results aren't coming. Let's put it this way: you go before the United game, they've gone 3 games without having scored only one team goal. You're not going to, as a unit, you're not going into the next game feeling absolutely like you're going to bury your next chance. You're going to be a bit worried about the fact that you need to bury your next chance. And that's going to play into the next game against Burnley. And, in these sort of spells, everyone needs to keep calm and you need something to go for you. I mean, yes, some of the finishing is very wild and panicky, but it's not just the front three. I mean, Andy Robbo is slipped in the first half, and that one, it's a pass, it gives him a chance to put it on a plate for someone across the 6-yard box, and he just underhits a terrible sort of nothing ball towards the side netting. Salah blazes. Ginny hits bodies when he's trying to get shots away. Thiago can't. Well, he hits the target once in the second half and blazes another one. Jordan wasn't just paying lip service to it when he said, "I think it's a team-wide thing. We all need to chip in." We all, I think it just needs to go for us a bit. The daft thing is I haven't watched it back. Thiago jinks past his man with about 15 to go and slams one, and I wouldn't say it's a perfect height for De Gea, but it tests him and he makes a good save. But as it leaves Thiago's foot, you think that could be going in for a nanosecond, and you think if that does go in, and we walk off that pitch 1-0. What are we all saying this morning? I mean, and that's all it would have taken, a gust of wind, right? We'd have gone, what a fucking win that was. What a fucking win. Thiago, what a hero. We didn't score in the first half, but we were the better team. That goal was so deserved. We're back in the hunt. United have been put in their place. Because it was United, nearly everything would have been forgotten. We'd gone, we've got to push on against Burnley, show some consistency. But so the mood would be totally different. And it could have happened, just a quirk of fate.
It seems, Rob, that they've been trying a few things to sort of to shake things up and to sort of get out of this collective malaise. So you could argue, for instance, that that line-up against what was essentially Villa's kids, was Villa's kids, perhaps that was an effort to do just that. Then, of course, at the weekend just gone, an exciting lineup on paper when we see it. Seeing Shaq in there, seeing Thiago in there, that was quite bold considering the opposition and the history of playing Manchester United and all the rest of it. It said, right, we're going balls out, we're going to go at them. There's also been reports of, the chestnut of a let's have a team meeting. They've had one of them as well.
Have they? Good.
Yeah, they've had one of them. That's happened. That's been done. So it's almost, to me, when I'm looking at it, I'm not doubting the ability of them. I think they can come back. I think they can get results. It just, there's something that needs to change, though. Does he just stick with what he's been doing? Does he bring Minamino in? Does he rest Bobby? What are you thinking along those? Like, what would you like to see against Burnley? Aside from goals, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if it was me, there's a balance between needing to rotate and whether you need to fix anything. If Burnley was the last game of our season, we needed to win it, I'd probably pick the team we just saw on Sunday, aside from the fact that Matip may be fit. If that, obviously you bring him in if you can. But in terms of the team he put out was a great side. On paper, arguably you'd have liked Jordan Henderson. If you'd had Matip at the back and Jordan Henderson in midfield, you'd have gone, wow, Henderson, Thiago, Wijnaldum, what a midfield that is. The best front three in Europe for the last 3 years there. Fabinho and Matip, good centre halves, great fullbacks. The keeper, you'd have gone, what, weakened where? So it was only the fact that we had to pull Hendo out of it made it seem like that. So I don't think there's a lot that needs tinkering with. You could argue that I think the biggest problem for me was that all our aces were on the pitch and we had nothing to come to freshen up in the last half hour. And I think, a game, we didn't have a game for 9 days then. And Liverpool under Klopp have always suffered when they've had a break. Short term, they've suffered in terms of getting out of intensity rhythm. So do you go again? Because they now got a game under them. Do you go with that intensity and rhythm? My gut feel is you pull Bobby out, you put Minamino in his spec, and you've therefore got Bobby to come off the bench, and you really do look forward to using that. You go, Bobby, you are definitely coming on, by the way. Whatever the scoreline is, you're going to get at least the last half hour. If Matip's fit, and I think he's been seen in training, then he comes in, and then arguably you put Henderson in midfield with Thiago. I don't know. I'd be inclined to pull out someone like Wijnaldum and say, you're going to need to miss one of these games. So you missed that one. And who'd you drop in? I'd probably go with Shaqiri again, based on.
He did all right, didn't he? Shaqiri,
yeah, I thought it was excellent. He really was. John Gibbo on the main show I did with him yesterday made a point about Shaqiri. He goes, whilst he is actually fit, you might as well play him. It's not as though overplaying him makes him injured. It's being alive that makes Shaq injured. He can get injured in training. So just play him until you can't and enjoy him while you can. So, and I think against Burnley at home, if you did it against United, you want to, although Shaq is normally, he's a midfielder in that game, it is sort of 4-2-3-1. It's sort of 4 forwards. And I think you want 4 forwards in a goal drought. You really do. You don't want sort of a workman-like team full of centre mid. So you don't want Hendo, Wijnaldum and Thiago, because you're looking for, where's the goal threat there, really? You're wondering, is it truly strong enough? With Shaq, you go, yeah. So I'm bringing to recap. I'm bringing in Matip and I'm bringing in Minamino, I think.
Yeah, because you don't imagine, do you, that Burnley are going to be very adventurous. It's probably going to be the same in terms of what we've seen last few games of Liverpool dominating the ball and it being up to Liverpool to break Burnley down. They will come for the fight. They'll come to dog it. They'll come to it as on the break or score from a set piece or whatever it may be. Okay, well, as ever on the Anfield Wrap, we are cracking on all the way through, producing loads and loads of content. If you don't subscribe to Tour Player, our subscription service, you can download the app and you can have a look at some of our premium content on there. But to give you a little idea of what we do, here is a clip from our show, The Final Word. All right, the Reds, it's the final word, and these strange times are getting ever stranger by the week, aren't they? The Premier League table does not look how we would like it to look right now. The Reds have only got 9 wins from 18 now in the league, with those 7 draws looking ever more costly. A front three that's proved itself to be among the best in the world can't hit a barn door right now, and a makeshift defence that's got everyone up in arms is not actually conceding goals. Just 3 in the last 6. In all seriousness now, these are concerning times for the champions. In a season when everyone struggled for consistency, Man City are starting to find it, unfortunately. As Opta Joe pointed out here, Manchester City are the first team to record 5 consecutive victories in the Premier League in 2020-21, while they're now unbeaten in 9 games in the competition, won 7 and drawn 2. Worrying indeed. The Reds, meanwhile, are doing something they haven't done for a long, long time, which is blanking in front of goal. Again, from Opta Joe here, Liverpool have failed to score in 3 straight Premier League games for the first time since March 2005, while they're also only the 3rd different reigning Premier League champion to do so, after Arsenal in 98-99 and Leicester in 2016-17. Diffused, say Opta Joe there. Well, we shall see if that continues. This one from them as well, also worrying. Since scoring with 7 of their 14 shots against Crystal Palace, Liverpool have scored just 1 goal from 62 shots in their last 4 Premier League games. A conversion rate of 1.6%. There is a clear problem to talk about here, and this graphic shows it really well. Basically, here, looking at this one, the bigger the blob, the better the chance. And the Reds aren't creating too much in terms of quality chances right now. Only really 6 or 7 of the more satisfying blobs there which show a chance that should have really resulted in a goal. There's a lot of pot shots there. There's a lot of efforts that, as the statmen judge it, they don't expect Liverpool to have scored from. In fact, the XG there is 5.7. So yeah, low, obviously. So it's not great. It's not happening for Liverpool right now. So what can Jurgen Klopp do? What can Jurgen Klopp change? It's worth remembering just how good our front lads have been under Klopp. But there's 2 ways of looking at that, of course. We've been heavily reliant on them. But looking here, under Klopp, Mohamed Salah, 86 goals. Firmino, 62 goals. Mane, 69 goals. Once you step away from the front 3, you're looking at Coutinho, obviously gone. 27 goals, Milner 18, Robertson 4, Trent 6, and on we go. It may be a time for other players to chip in, and I think this was something Jordan Henderson was talking about post-match, that if we pile the pressure on the front three, it might result in their confidence continuing to wane rather than the other way around. And perhaps it's a time where one or two others can maybe chip in. Certainly, Thiago was trying that at the weekend, and it was good to see. Okay, that is a little look at the final word. So if you like the look of that, do subscribe to the Anfield Wrap. Go to theanfieldwrap.com. It's easy enough to get involved. You can subscribe to audio, to video, or to both. Hopefully to both. Keep on supporting us. Thanks for your support as well all the way through this lockdown. It's been very much appreciated. Rob, another thing that's happened the last couple of days, which may or may not have an influence on sort of the collective psyche, if you like, of Liverpool, is Salah coming out and saying that he wants to stay. That, you know, making it clear he wants to stay. It's in the club's court. He would like a new deal and an improved deal. That doesn't seem particularly unfair of him, I don't think, to come out and say that, given what he's given us. The other stuff I didn't like, to be honest. Didn't really see the point in all of the other stuff about wanted to be captain and etc, and the negativity that created. This is a bit more positive now from him. We know he doesn't often do interviews, and when he does, it becomes worldwide news. So what do you make of that? Do you think that gives everyone a little bit of a lift? So almost like it looked like there could have been a problem child, which Klopp hasn't had on his hands for a long time. Now it seems maybe, you know, all he wants is his big bag of cash and he'll be all right.
Yeah, it feels like it was part two in a series of salvos that are all coming from Salah's side. I mean, part one was, you know, we talked about this, didn't we, about a month ago, where it's sort of, I could go to Real Madrid and Barca if I wanted to. Don't forget about me. When you know, I think the problem is, and I think we're going to see this played out a few more times, is if it wasn't for COVID, I think these deals would be nailed down by now. But I think the message from on high is there is no way we are signing ourselves up to mega money deals this side of uncertainty. Until we can see a full season's worth of cash coming in, we cannot do it. So I think what Liverpool are basically saying, well, if we can't sign up, we'll basically not agree to anything yet. And I think the problem is agents and players are taking that as a snub. So it's a difficult, dangerous game for Liverpool to play. I think that's what's happening with Wijnaldum. I think we're almost saying to them, sorry, boys, I know what you think you're worth. You're arguably worth, because you've won the league with us, 20% more than 30% more when you won your last contract. But COVID is the other side of the coin, and it now devalues what you're worth. Tough shit. That's the fact of the matter. That is what's going on in these negotiations. And the players aren't liking it, because they're able to still turn around and go, but Gareth Bale and Mesut Ozil are earning that, and they're shit, right? And the club are going, yeah, but those deals were done a long time ago. A lot of it, you know, each side's logic makes sense in a moment, you know, and it's all going to play into a series of negotiations. I think Liverpool know their strength is that, one, who's going to pay Salah's market rate, even a diminished market rate of 150, 130 million, whatever you want to say it is, firstly. So no one's going to come to it. And who's going to offer him probably the 300 grand a week basic he's asking for, whatever it is. And the answer is not many teams.
It's worth recognising with him as well, isn't it, from this hypothetical situation we're talking about, of him looking at everything, him looking out there, teams looking at him and all the rest of it. I don't doubt that he could go somewhere else and perform. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is it's perfectly balanced on a good day for Liverpool to get the best out of Mo, isn't it? They've got the best out of Mo Salah. As good as he's been, and he's been brilliant for us, and I think he should be regarded as, you know, one of the best we've had now. He's in that kind of category. Equally, though, you think about his stock when he arrived and what he was then and what he is now. Liverpool have played a huge part in that, haven't they?
Well, yes. I mean, it's a story that, you know, that applies to a lot of players down the years. There are players who've left us and gone on to maybe sometimes bigger and better stuff, sometimes equally good stuff. Luis Suarez, we're talking about. Raheem Sterling, but then again, Raheem Sterling's story's only really beginning when he comes to Liverpool. He's made, I wouldn't say he's made by Liverpool. He does his growing up on our watch. But then there are players who come to us, your Fernando Torres's, Phil Coutinho's, who, you know, what the magic that is Liverpool, the magic that is our crowd, our aura, our stadium, our tradition, it all has an effect on them, and they're able to find a sense of home and comfort there that enables them to fulfill their very, very best. And some of them aren't able to see that that's a thing. I don't know. I suspect Mo Salah can. I think he's quite a bright lad. I suspect that's why he doesn't want to leave, and he really would rather just stay and have more money, thanks. But yeah, there's enough cautionary tales out there, boys. Don't careful what you wish for.
Not least Phil Coutinho, of course.
No, of course.
Brilliant. Okay, that will do us. Loads of stuff, as I say, on the website, video-wise, podcast-wise, and everything else. Check out the AnfieldWrap.com. We shall be previewing the Burnley game in every way that you possibly can, so video, podcast, and writing. We shall be doing all our usual stuff after the game as well. Check us out across all the social media as well. And yeah, have a lovely day, and hopefully the Reds can make us happy again when we come and play Burnley. Up to that.